It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show.
The only show about Latinos for Latinos. And did we mention Latinos?
It's the Latísima.
Latinos come in all flavors, shapes, and sizes. You don't have to be Latino to enjoy chips and salsa.
People love chips and salsa.
What is up, everybody? Zeke Rodriguez here with always amazing and awesome Alice Lara, and we got our special guest here, Rich Ester, with the Chips and Salsa Show, New Freaking Mexico. What the hell is up, guys? It's crazy out there. It's always good to see you guys. It's always good to be here in good company with people who care about the community. Mr. Ester's running for Congress in Arizona on the independent side. Alice, let's go. Let's take it from here.
And we'll be introducing Rich in just a moment. It's going to be a little bit of a different show. I just want to let you know, because typically we do have candidate conversations. We're trying to interview as many candidates here in the New Mexico area, especially. But my good friend Rich Ester wanted to come up and visit us and wanted to be on the show, and I think it's going to be really good because it is different. He's not a Republican. You know, everybody we've had on here is a Republican. He's
Usually.
running,
And I'm not a Democrat.
I was
Let's
just
make
going to
that
say,
clear.
he's not a Democrat.
I'm my own
Even if
guy.
he was, he's welcome to come on.
Exactly. He's running as an independent, and I have the paper in front of me, make sure I get it right. So it's Richard, known as Rich Ester, E-S-T-E-R, okay? And he is running for U.S. Representative in Congress for Arizona. He's running as an independent in District Number 2. So, Rich, I've known you for a very, very long time, but I'm going to toss it to you to take like a 1 or 2 minute bio on yourself. Tell the people about yourself and a little bit of why you're running. But we're going to spend the whole hour interviewing him and letting you know all about him. So thank you very much for joining in. Thank you, Chipsters.
I grew up in a typical 60s family. I'd say the first 6-7 years of my life were relatively idyllic. My dad was a 27-year career soldier. They took us to church all the time. You know, they really impressed upon us the importance of being responsible for yourself and thinking for yourself, treating other people decently. They dragged my little butt to church every Sunday, so I got all that going on. I've lived all over the country. I've lived in Pennsylvania, I've lived in Texas, I've lived in Missouri, so I've met a lot of people. And the one thing that has always gotten back to me is how people complain about the funding, and that's been a common theme no matter where I'm at. I've enjoyed most of those places that I lived at, but talking to other people, it just became very clear to me that what we need to do is fix the funding. And so I'm an Army brat, middle child, grew up in the 60s and 70s, and here I am now trying to actually do something that I think will.
You mean you're worried about a
benefit the country.
$35 trillion national deficit? Almost $35 trillion?
I honestly believe with my plan, we can fix that. We can take care of that.
Okay. We'll get into that. I liked we and him had a conversation over the weekend too, and I enjoyed speaking with Rich because there's a lot of people like him. He's an independent. He's got inclinations on both sides of the party, you could say. So, it's always interesting to talk to individuals like this because, like Alice was saying, we always have Republicans on. We'd love to have Democrats on too. We really would. Unfortunately, they don't like that they invite. We're going to be inviting some very soon here, though. I think we might get 1 or 2 on.
Well, we could put out an open invitation.
Yeah, please come on.
Contact us.
We're not going to hurt you. But yeah, it's great talking to you. It's always good to get your insight. Is this your first time running for office?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then, so to get on the ballot, or, was there a certain amount of signatures you needed to get on there?
That was the thing that was kind of confusing me, because when I filled out all the stuff on the Secretary of State website where you enroll, I suppose, to become a candidate, I was looking at these PDF files that they had, and I couldn't see anything that related to me personally. It's just, I don't see how this applies to me. So what I ended up doing was emailing the Secretary of State. And forgive me, dude, your name escapes me. But a few weeks later, I got a letter back from him telling me that I needed to fill out a nomination paper, which I did, and uploaded it to their site, and got the little thing in that little window telling me it was accepted. And a couple days later, my candidacy went from pending to current or active, something like that. Anyway, I'm official.
So you didn't need signatures because.
Right, I didn't need
I
them.
guess as an independent.
So yeah, the
is that
answer to your
right?
question is no.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I can do politics.
That's crazy.
And I did check him on the Secretary of State's website for Arizona, and you are listed.
Yeah.
You are official.
He's
an
legit.
independent candidate. It's really going to happen. And if you go on there and you look, he doesn't have his photo up because he's waiting for his glamour shot. So don't worry about it. And we will mention this again too, but let people know how, if they want to find you. And let me just do my little spiel first.
Okay.
If you like what you hear today and you want to support Rich, just like we've said with other candidates, please think about giving him a few bucks, or maybe you live in his area. I'm sorry, you don't want a few bucks.
Yeah.
Maybe you live in his area and you want to help him either by letting other people know about him or other ways that don't, because you're going to talk about that too.
Yeah.
It's not a money campaign, but still they can contact you through this way.
Yes.
What can they do to contact you?
Right now, go to my Facebook page.
Which is?
It's Richard W. Ester, Ester, for Congress. And on my Facebook page, I tell you why I've created it and why I'm running. And I also put in the plan that I would like to initiate, have the House of Representatives pass as far as taxes go. Because it'll include everybody that's spending money in this country. Those are the two main things, and then I did a humor one on something about a gun not failing to. I forget what it was exactly, but basically it was this guy shouldn't have this gun because of its military capability. When they wrote the Second Amendment, I mean, that's was the whole point, was so people could bring their guns from home and use them for military purposes. So this judge had ruled, and there was a court thing. It made me laugh, so I posted that on there. And that's really got nothing to do
And
with
I just want to
campaign.
ask
I
you though,
rambled.
you told me you don't want any money, so like somebody wants to send you money, would you reject it? Because I think you should still ask for money.
No, don't send me any money. You got money you want to give away, give it to a charitable cause, whatever that happens.
Maybe it's a Michael
to be.
Caine for district attorney here in Doliana.
Send it to another campaign.
You need money to win, bro.
Yeah.
Rich is very serious about this.
Yeah,
He really is.
yeah. Wherever you want to send your money, send it. Just don't send it to me, because another part of the reason I'm doing this, when I win, I'm gonna turn this whole thing upside down. All this money you see going to campaigns and stuff, it's gonna become obsolete.
I'm really interested to see how you're going to win without money. Please.
Well, we're doing it.
And if
We
you
got
do,
4
you
months,
better come
dude.
back here.
We got 4 months. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
That's not a lot of time.
It's just word of mouth.
Well, and these campaigns, and Zeke would know this better than myself, for congressmen, they're in the millions now. They spend
Yeah,
millions
Yvette
of
Harrell
dollars.
raised $12 million and still lost 2 years ago.
But it's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous amount of money to be spending just.
It is.
Well, it's the and versus the tank thing. You know what I mean? It's like you can gripe about it, or you can play the game to beat the game. Ultimately, the way Congress is set up now, it's pay to play, and I think Trump's been very open about that. And there's a big problem, like lobbyists. We got to get rid of lobbyists first of all, and I think to change that, we need to get guys like you in that aren't financially, driven. I respect it, but I mean, I also understand the game. It's like, do I like what you're going with that? I love it. I don't think politicians should even want to be in there past their, they did term limits, get them the hell out of there, and they shouldn't be financially driven. But we're in a space where it's hyper financially driven. That's why you see both parties selling out the country, because these special interest groups fork over these millions of dollars. But I mean, so
It is a money game, you're right.
there's got to be some kind of strategy, some kind of tactics to circumnavigate that truth in the money, especially Arizona. That's how many. Where is this second district at? Is it the bottom of Arizona?
No, man, it's pretty large. Yeah, it goes up into the White Mountains.
Oh, okay.
Down around San Carlos.
So for someone who's not that familiar with
I have
Arizona,
no idea where
kinda
South
give them
Carolina
an
Yeah,
idea.
to be perfectly honest, I would have to pull out a map and say this is it. The only
How many
thing I'm
districts are
absolute-
there in Arizona?
No clue.
There's 30 districts in Arizona.
Because the population's so freaking huge, huh?
Like,
Because they do it by population. So because we only got like 4 in New Mexico. There's 3, I think.
I'm sorry. There are 3 congressional districts. I was thinking of
Oh.
state districts.
I was
There
like,
are
damn.
3 in New Mexico, but in Arizona there's 10.
That would make sense.
I'm not real sure.
That makes sense.
Okay, well, we're giving you some homework today. Yeah.
Yeah. I might get asked that question again.
So yeah, and I don't like the special interest getting involved in politics either. It's so funny because I got into politics, I think Alice was in politics too. It's like we get in because we want to change, we want to help the community, we want to better things. But you get in behind the curtain and 90% of people are there for the financial, the government contracts primarily, other stuff, that deals with money. Be it indirectly or directly. There's very rare people like me or like Alice that are there. It's like, hey man, we should help the freaking kids, dude. That's rare to find someone that's like that. But they're out there, and they're becoming more and more popular these days. But yeah, you have an uphill battle. We all do, because most of the politicians, they don't care about anything but the special interests and lining their own pockets. And that's why you got a slew of people in Congress that became millionaires all of a sudden. Once they become congressmen or women, they became millionaires. Meanwhile, they're on a $200,000 a year salary. So how does that freaking happen?
Right.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how this plays out, because I truly believe that the money given to campaigns is just unnecessary with social media. I mean, look at the silly stuff that just goes viral. Use Elmo, for example. Hey, everybody, how you doing? And how quick did that just blow up? Okay? And I realize, but that's a silly thing, but what we're doing here is a serious thing. I would really like people to look at that and think to themselves, yeah, he's right.
No, there is some merit.
We could do social media. We don't need this constant bombardment of political campaigns during our 30-minute sitcoms.
Yeah.
You can get everything you need. Well, and then again, you get everything you want according to your own taste, but you got to be selective on what you believe in and read the internet. You got to double check stuff and fact check yourself. I spend a lot of time, looking at things going, yeah, okay, that seems plausible, that doesn't. And then I try to roll it in my head for...
Yeah, there is merit behind, not having a financial campaign. I mean, I haven't followed up with him in a while, though. There was that trucker on the East Coast somewhere. Remember that trucker? He ran on like $10 campaign, $100 campaign. All he did was go live when he got out of his truck. And he was a trucker, so he didn't have time to really campaign. But he would go live every once in a while. Got a huge following, and he won. But I don't know. I didn't follow up to see how...
Yeah, I remember that guy.
So he did win.
Yeah, he won.
He won.
I remember seeing him. But he was, like you said, he was all around the country.
Yeah.
What was that, Virginia? I can't remember.
It was on the East Coast somewhere.
I know it was
but it
on
was
the
like a
East
truck
Coast.
driver guy. He didn't raise hardly any money. I don't think any money. And he won.
Well, of course, people are watching you saying, really? No money? Yeah, just social media? And if you can make this thing work, oh my gosh, you will have started a whole brand new thing.
Yeah.
Just doing it on social media.
Yeah, and I just think it needs to be done. It's just.
I remember
for change. It's time to move into the 21st century. We're already 24 years into it. Let's continue. Let's complete the journey.
I remember the last gubernatorial election. When I was running for lieutenant governor, and I was close to all the governor candidates, and it was Mark Ronchetti, and of course he was running against our current governor, MLG, Michelle Lujan Grisham, and then there was Karen Bodoni. And it was getting closer. She went independent.
Did she go independent or libertarian?
Libertarian, excuse me. She went libertarian. And, the money was huge because Ronchetti was paying for big ads on YouTube, big ads on TV. And everywhere you go in the city, you would see Ronchetti, or you would see MLG. They were having $1 million war on ads. And, I think Bodoni pulled out like 1% of the vote, 2% of the vote.
It was not more than like 3 or 4%.
Yeah.
I remember it was very low.
Yeah, and she raised about 1/10 of what they raised. So, that's just something, food for thought. It's tough out there because we have monkey-like brains, and what we see is what we do, and that's what you do. That's what you pay for, to get in front of people's eyeballs.
So here's my question too, because I think I just sent the article to you as well. But a lot of people my age group, or I'll say 50 plus, really, are the voters. They're voters.
Yeah.
And the older age, we're pretty. You know what? There's a lot of us. We're pretty good with social
Alice
media
is
and
kicking
technology.
Alice kicks ass.
We try.
She's able to keep up with me. That's crazy.
Well, I don't know about that.
She does.
But you're talking about a campaign. You have money for signs, mailers, and like you say, even now the ads on YouTube, those little political ads that we're going to be bombarded with. It's already starting. to do that.
It's already starting.
So you're not going to do any of that. You've
None of
decided
that.
no bumper stickers or anything.
If somebody wants to hand paint a sign and stick it up on Highway 60 somewhere, feel free. Just,
Okay.
knock yourself out.
We're going to have to watch your
Just
campaign.
don't give me any money.
And
I
you're
like
up
the
against some
spirit of
big
it.
guns.
Yeah.
Eli Crane is running as well. If they haven't had the primary yet, right?
Oh.
In Arizona, I think it's in August.
Actually, I think it's,
Or is it coming up?
yeah, I think it's next
And of
month.
course, you wouldn't care about it because you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
as an
I'm
independent.
not being primaried, so I think it's actually next month.
Are there a lot of independents running Arizona? And I think New Mexico and Arizona, we're getting to where independents are becoming the bigger block of voters. So it seems natural that more independents would be on the ballot. It seems to be a natural thing.
That's something that I really didn't look at as far as the actual numbers go, but something I did notice about Arizona that ever since I've lived there, and I moved there in '93, to me it seemed like there were a lot more independent, libertarian type people than the other states I lived. Granted, they were still outnumbered by the two major political parties,
So even then.
but there still seemed to be a lot more independent thinkers, in Arizona than other states that I lived in.
And there is a trend because a lot of people get mad at their own parties. We know Republicans as well as Democrats.
Oh, I've
They're
been
like,
there. Trust me.
Forget about it. It's just easier to be an independent. I know you're going to be shocked, considered that, but I figured out if I did that, you can't vote in the primaries. There's a lot of, you couldn't be as engaged. So that's why I stayed. Plus, I believe in the platform of the Republican Party. So for me, it was worth it.
I'm
to
so
see.
glad you said. And she and Alice, this speaks to her intelligence. She has the intellectual wherewithal to say that, to qualify the platform of the party, because that's what it is. Because anytime I hear anybody talk about the two-party dichotomy or the polarity, it's like you're really still in 3D. You're still playing 3D chess, bro. Like the 6D chess is beyond both parties, because both parties are corrupt. Anybody who knows anything knows that. You know what I mean? So really, you got to find a platform that suits with your movement, what you want to get into, and you use that platform to bring people together and to get your message across. It might be that some people choose the Democrats. Look at RFK. He wanted to go to the Democrat side to platform his message. I can speak for me and Alice because we're so close. We chose the Trump train, to platform our message. That's not to say that we're hardcore Republican and we only love Republicans. It's like, no, dude, we know that. But that being said, the Republican Party does have the ethos of freeing the slaves, letting women vote. I mean, we're the ones who ushered in the majority of our freedoms that we love here today in America. Now, does that mean the Republican Party is perfect? Hell no. I'm not a Pence fan. I'm not a Lindsey Graham fan at all. I mean, that dude the other day was just talking about how the only reason why we're going to Ukraine is for the $12 trillion that they have. That's why if you guys didn't know, that's why we're dumping all this money into Ukraine. It's nothing to do with politically or religious or anything. It's purely for $12 trillion. So, and that pissed me off, because people are over there dying willy-nilly. I just saw a horrible video of a drone following a Ukrainian soldier, and he threw his gun down, and then the drone still blew up and killed him. So when you throw your gun down, that's a Geneva Convention code that you're captured. Yeah, you surrendered, but it's a drone. Still blew his ass up anyway. So, yeah, there's problems with both parties. The independents are coming up. There's a lot in New Mexico and Las Cruces. I just saw a study. There's more independents than there is Democrats and Republicans.
That actually has happened already. I wasn't sure if it had happened.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I wonder if that plays into the lack of bumper stickers I've seen this year.
Right? There is a lot.
I made that observation.
That's a good point.
On both sides. You
For
don't
real,
see
huh?
Biden, Harris, and you don't see Trump.
I've seen more Biden's
Question
than
mark.
Trump's.
Because he ain't decided yet.
That's like even, actually.
I've seen me too.
But it's not money. It's not many either way. It's like a lot less. When I had my Trump sticker on my truck, I got so many dents. I took that shit off. I took that stuff off.
Yeah, that's
did.
a lot of it. That's a lot of it.
I did.
In Arizona, when Trump ran, Mark wouldn't let me keep the sticker on. So I put it in the window. So if I was driving, I'd have it. And whatever I got, I would put it back in there. Yeah, because
That is
people get their
hilarious.
cars messed up and scratched. And key.
It's
terrible.
In 2020, I was in Texas, and yeah, man, that's Trump country. Make no mistake about
where
it.
at? In Texas? Yeah.
That is Trump country.
For sure.
And that's fine. But bumper stickers, yeah, man, they were everywhere.
In Texas.
Yeah.
'Cause you were just there, right?
And you
Yeah, I was there
lived-
for the last 4.5 years.
We should mention, Rich, because you lived in the capital. You lived in Austin
Yeah.
when you were in Texas.
Damn.
so you've had the benefit, like you say, of having lived in states. You really have an interesting life that, I would like to share more, but I'm not going to share things if you don't want to share them with the audience. But I think did you mention what you've done for a living? Just like a quick synopsis.
I'm blue collar. I worked in factories. I worked construction. The job I kept the longest was copper mining. The job that paid me the most amount of money, and I truly liked it just because of what I was doing, was copper mining.
Tell them what you did. It's kind of a cool job.
And I operated a modern marble. I drove a 2-story pickup truck, basically.
Is it one of those things you see from the top of the mine that look like a little Tonka truck, but when you get close to it, it's like freaking
yeah,
huge?
you got ladders and stairs to get up to the cab.
No way.
Yeah, I drove those for about 12 years, I think. I have to sit down and do the math.
And you're a veteran too.
I'm a veteran?
You're a veteran too, right?
You from the United States Army, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a veteran. Yeah. I was in a peacetime army between Vietnam and the next war we got involved in, so my service was skateboarding in the park. I'm glad I served. Okay, and I'll bring this. I've always known that I was going in the Army. My dad was a 27-year career soldier. So
that's cool.
From the moment I could start to formulate thoughts in my head, I knew I was going in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
So when I graduated high school, that's what I did. I went in the Army.
It's a good time to go out of high school.
Huh?
It's a good time to go right out of high school.
Yeah.
I think.
But like I said, it was peacetime. I certainly did make the sacrifices that other people have made. So that's why I don't put too much stock in my service.
Oh, it's good for your worldview, though. You go through boot camp, you put the BDUs on, you get the camaraderie.
I got to spend a year in Japan.
You spend a year in Japan.
Yeah.
It wasn't all.
I'm sure your dad was proud of you, too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was.
And then you should also mention do you have children?
Yes, I have.
Dad?
I have 3 daughters. The oldest one lives in Tempe, Arizona, and the 2 younger ones live in Missouri. They're all full-grown women with children and have given me grandchildren.
That's awesome.
5.
You have 5 grandchildren?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So.
What a blessing. So you've had a seasoned, blessed life, an American life, really.
Yeah, I think so.
A good old American life.
Because I on several occasions, when Alice first met me, we'd moved back to El Paso from Pennsylvania, and it was just me and my wife Catherine and our 2 girls, Becky and Beth, and we actually lived out of my van for a couple months.
Oh yeah, showed up in his van.
Yeah, Alice can attest to that. I've been homeless. I have lived in a van. So yeah.
That's good. I like you more now. That's awesome.
Huh?
I think it's good. I think it's good for the soul to go through that.
Yeah, I never really. And the girls have brought that up actually, and it was like, I really didn't think of us being homeless.
Some of the most people I respect ever were homeless for a while. They lived out of their vehicle. They lived hard lives.
And I have some stories I like to tell from my 3 months of being homeless. My favorite is it Donovan Drive? Which road runs along the Rio Grande?
Donovan.
Is that Donovan?
Yeah.
Okay. So we parked my van on Donovan Drive, right? My little girls, they're going to be starting kindergarten and 2nd grade, okay? So we're parked there, it's me and my gringo wife, my 2 gringo kids, and there's this other family there. They don't speak a word of English, not a word. We sat, the parents spoke a little tiny bit, and I spoke a little, just enough that we could kind of communicate with one another. But what was amazing was watching these 4 or 5 little kids, I'm not sure how many they had, but they were playing, just having the time of their lives. Just laughing and giggling and tag, just having the time of their lives. And there was no way my daughters were understanding what these Mexican children were saying.
Yeah.
But it made no difference to them. They were just kids having fun. And maybe if we could just do that as adults, just get back to being kids having fun.
Oh, I think we've had our fun.
Well, like you said the other day, we were talking. Just be nice to each other, Bring back the golden rule.
Yeah, that was big in my family. You treat others the way you want to be treated. My parents, my dad was a Democrat, not sure about my mom. I lost her in '68 from brain cancer. Like I said, the first few years of my life were idyllic. That's kind of what the hell. Anyway, we'll get off of that real quick. But my dad said he was a Democrat. Where was I going with this?
Everybody was back. Everybody was back then. Everybody.
Yeah.
We were talking about being nice, golden rule.
Oh, yeah. So, and I didn't find out he was a Democrat actually until I was in high school. But a story that I think attests to the character of my parents and the person they tried to raise me to be. When we first moved to Cleveland, Ohio, I was in the first grade. And there were some black kids there. We had just come from Fort Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota. So being on a military installation, black people being around wasn't anything new to me. And so when I get to first grade in Cleveland, there were a few black kids that we just kind of befriended one another, you might want to say, and we just started talking to one another. So later on, a kid pulled me aside. He said, "Hey man, don't be talking to them." And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "They're dirty." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah man, that's why they're colored. They're dirty." So I'm first grade, okay? So I go home and I ask my mom. My mom flips, man. She just, boom, man. Who told you that? She was so angry that somebody had told me that. So I had actually gotten a variation of the judge people by the color of their skin speech before it was officially made in 1968. And that was the way both my parents raised me. You treat people the way you want to be treated, and you don't judge people. Give them a reason for you to dislike them. Yeah. So.
That's a great story. Your first grade?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's a good story.
Yeah,
It was startling to me to hear that kid say that. It was just,
Well, that
what?
was, yeah, that'd be free.
'Cause, like I said, I told you the story about the frog. Yeah. Some of our
That's
a lot of the kids in our the military installation, the housing. It's not a development. Were they? Yeah, post housing. There were a lot of little black kids. You know, we were.
Yeah,
almost seemed almost seemed kind of even. You know, to me.
In the military?
But, yeah.
so a good amount of diversity there.
Yeah, but it might have been just because, we all had a whole bunch of kids, and I might not have had complete control of my numbers at that point.
Yeah, there was a lot of camaraderie. There was a good mix when I was in. A lot of black dudes, a lot of Mexican dudes, a lot of natives, a lot of white dudes. It was a good mix. Well, we were all super racist behind the closed doors to each other. Just as jokes. We were chummy. You know what I mean? But it wasn't like when it came down to work. It didn't matter. It was like we were all really focused, and we're still close friends. Yeah, all of us. It doesn't matter. It didn't really matter what skin color was, is if you did your job or not. If you're a dirtbag, you're a dirtbag. But yeah, it was all funny racist jokes all the time. It was good. There's not many people white. There's not many white dudes enlisting in the military right now at all. They have a huge shortage.
I think there's numbers are down. Period.
Big time, but especially white dudes. And white dudes were usually the bulk of the military for the longest time. I think the whole time, but only recently because of critical race theory. And we talked about this on the show before. We even though there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the military, it's still a good time to serve. You still want to serve the country if you can.
Well, and we're hoping, we're going to have a change of administration.
Right.
I mean, it would be hard if I were a younger person and be thinking about a military career. It'd be very difficult to make that choice right now under this administration. But to serve the
if
country
you're military age, join.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Do the time. It's an experience. Okay. I actually feel sorry for people who lived in the same town their entire life and never went anywhere.
That's pretty common, though.
Go somewhere.
You
Do
might go
something.
to Japan.
Huh?
You might go to Japan.
Yeah.
Travel the world.
I-
You got to travel too.
Yeah, I got shot.
Yeah, but yours is more combat, wasn't it?
No. I was supposed to go to Iraq. I got orders to go to Iraq, and I went to pre-deployment school for a month or so in Florida. When I got back from pre-deployment school, they gave me orders to Italy. And I was like, all right, cool. So I get to go there after Iraq. And they're like, no, dummy, you go to Italy now. You're leaving in 2 weeks. I was like, oh, okay. It was a special operations mission it was a joint task force mission with the Italian Air Force and NATO. So I worked for NATO and I worked for NASA, two super corrupt organizations. And it was rough. I mean, I think I talk about this publicly too, but right before I got out of the military, my 2-year term in Italy, my Chief Master Sergeant Elliott. I remember him. He was a crazy guy. He'd smoke like 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And it was so funny. We'd have the biggest joke because before he came out, he gave his speech every time. Before he gave his speech, he'd always like the most out of shape, unhealthy guy you ever met. And he would run out to give his speech like 10 feet. And it was like, why would, like, you're out of shape, bro. What are you doing? Anyway, he got caught 2,000 counts of child pornography under 6 years old. You know?
Wow.
Yeah, right before I got out. It was a huge deal, you know, and nothing happened to him. He got out scot-free. Wow. They just moved him bases, much like they do with the Catholic churches and stuff. So that was my experience working for NATO before I got out.
So I have to ask both of you, because of your military background, there's a recent, did the law pass through about the change in the draft where everybody has to sign?
I know girls are on that.
Remember?
I know that.
I haven't seen an update on it, but absolutely.
What girls?
Because it used to be you had to register for the draft.
Yeah.
And now I think you had to register, but you weren't going to be drafted. I'm sorry. I'm dumb on that.
I just know that girls are on the bill though. Girls can be drafted in the military now. If I don't agree with that at all. I'm just letting you know it's on the bill.
I think it depends on the girl.
Well, do you think, like, as a woman, I could see there are function for women in the military?
Yeah, not combat, not
Okay,
combat.
And to clarify a little bit, I didn't mean that to sound sexist, because it oftentimes depends on the boy.
I think I came off as the sexist one on that one. I mean, yeah, I just don't want women in combat. I don't think it's appropriate.
I don't think it's fair to men either, because
The draft sucks.
You know, a man and a woman there. I always thought there'd be the tendency for the man to protect a woman if you're in combat. We're not exactly equal. Look at me and you.
I think the assholes who are writing these bills about going to the draft should sign up for the draft too. I think that's what should happen, because
That would be an interesting.
a lot of the times these people have no experience. They've never been punched before. They've never thrown a punch before, and they're over here. Yeah, let's go to war. Like Lindsey Graham. How many people has he gotten in a fight with? You know what I mean? That guy is not tough. He's not a real man, and he's over here like signing bills that get people killed all the time. That's the reason why we go to these wars, because the guys who are in charge are soft and they have no backbone. But they want to throw your kids in war real quick.
Yeah, it's wrong. On the in combat, protect the girl. I'm not sure who said it, but in combat, you're not fighting for your country. You're fighting for your brothers.
Yeah.
You're fighting for your comrades. So they be fighting for her for the same reason they're fighting for their comrades. We are brothers in arms.
I don't know if I'm making myself clear. It's just like, take an instance. If somebody walked in here. You know, you're stronger, more physically stronger, both of you, than I am.
Yeah, it's evolutionarily.
So your tendency, you guys would be more the protector role than me and Haley. You know, Haley's pregnant too, and it's just kind of a matter of physical prowess. I'm not saying I'm not going to fight, man. I'm going to help. I'm going to do whatever happens.
There's some girls that can do it. It's like there's outliers.
Yes, and there are.
Depends on the girl.
But there are. But for the most part, there probably
You remember that girl SWAT team, and what was it in Peru? They gave that they had this whole big old like feminist movement in Peru. I believe it was Peru, South American country, but they gave the first all girl SWAT team a trial run. And I don't know, you guys remember this? It was a big one, and man, it was bad. They couldn't even get past the freaking monkey bars. Like, it was just so embarrassing. Like, they just don't have the physical capability that men
don't.
don't.
Have the upper body.
There was one chick who got close, like we're talking about. There's always that one girl, like freaking Bertha, gets her in there, and she hammers it, and that's great. You know,
apologies if that offended any Berthas.
Or Wanda or whatever. Physically, I think we have like 30% more upper body strength than women. We have more testosterone. You know, that's all stuff that matters in war. You know. And we have this inclination to protect kids and women. So, like he was saying, if there's girls in the trenches, it's like we're going to be like, all right, let's just make sure she's going to be all right. You know, it's just our natural thing. And girls are very empathetic and very compassionate and very nurturing, and they're very socially aware. You know, I think if we have them in those fields where they shine, that's great. And if there's some outlier girls like Bertha and get her in there too.
They're excellent pilots too.
Yeah, pilots. There's a lot of female pilots now.
There's a lot of things that women can do.
There is.
In the military.
But hand-to-hand combat, I don't think is probably the best thing for them.
The men and the muscle are still superior because, basically that's what you're there to, is destroy things.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I
didn't mean to get off on a tangent.
We're all agreeing here.
But if you get elected, in Congress, and that's one thing to think about too. You might think, well, that's Arizona. I don't live in Arizona, but you still represent Congress, the entire United States. You're a vote that will
Right.
represent all of the United States.
Right.
So, and these things, there are a lot of things that Congress does. Maybe some of them they shouldn't do. But that's why we're having you here, so we can talk about them. So, let's talk about your interesting plan. And I'm just going to say, I think this is pretty
jump
cool
into
word.
that.
Fix the funding, fix the country. Dun, da, da, da.
Yeah, okay. Pick an issue, any issue. And at some point, they're going to get down, somebody's going to say something about the money. Herein lies the problem with the money. The way we fund this country is strictly through income, primarily income taxes charged to people who work. Okay, so I looked it up this morning, and there are 341,787,126 people in this country right now. Of that number, there are only 161,080,000 who are working. That leaves a balance of over 180 million people who aren't paying into the system. That's wrong. We need to bring these people into the system, and the only way we can do this is with a federal sales tax. A federal sales tax would be like your state sales taxes. It'd be the same thing. It'd be a tax that you pay at the point of sale. So that we don't totally hammer the people that are employed right now and paying income tax, we can cut the lowest earners, the people that are currently being charged 10 and 12%. We can cut their taxes by 80%. So, and when they go to the store and spend $1 to pay that 7% sales tax, they're still paying less than they actually would have if they had just paid the straight
So, Rich,
income
you're eliminating
tax.
all the income tax, federal income tax.
Hopefully. I see a possibility for it. It'll be a process. It's just something we're going to have to do. In my mind, it works because in my mind, I've got 180 million people who aren't paying into the system. I now have them paying into the system.
Of course, you're talking, some of those are little kids and things that don't work.
Well,
and
you
stuff,
have to
but
factor in the little children because there's money spent on their behalf.
That's true.
Food, shelter,
Even
clothing,
diapers, to buy diapers.
and all that good stuff.
Okay.
So, like I say, we cut the current income tax brackets that we have right now dramatically. We'll make that money up with a sales tax at the point of sale, and now we have the other 180 million people contributing their 7 cents on the dollar. How is that not a win-win? I've posed that question before, and no one's been able to tell me that I'm wrong.
Well, it's not a win-win. I'll tell you that right now.
So-
Because if you're cutting the income tax dramatically, but you're only supplementing it with 7%, there's a discrepancy there.
Only 1%. And that 1% would be taken up quickly with 180 million people.
Yeah.
Well, have you looked at and seen last year how much money was spent on a retail basis? That if you just had collected 7% on that, have you done those? Have you done those figures yet?
No.
I'm giving you some homework.
Yeah. The only thing that I looked at was, I need to be politically correct here.
No, you don't. We're on the internet. We're on.
Okay. Foreign travelers, okay? Foreign tourists, international travelers. They spent over $191 billion in this country last year. $191 billion. 7% at the point of all that money they were spending, right, at those places, would have given us almost $13.5 billion from foreigners. How is that not a win-win?
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I like where you're going with some of these figures and numbers. I mean, just the breakdown of who does and doesn't pay taxes is great. I think people need to know that. And, just my worldview, the way I think is cut the taxes for the middle class, for the small businesses. Let them use that money that they're going to be saving to hire more people, to train more people, to expand their businesses. And we've done this before; it's proven to work. And then you would start dipping into those people who aren't doing anything if you were to give the money back to the middle class and let them, gentrify, for lack of a better word, their communities. Because the middle class is really what made America great. The wealth was distributed evenly throughout the population rather than it being all at the top and then some getting trickled down to the bottom via governmental subsidies and stuff. So that's just my worldview because I've seen it work before. I'm not the kind of guy that goes in and trying to tax more people. But hey, I think you're onto something there. I think the numbers, they're starting out very good. Probably a little bit more refinement, but I think the awareness is really good.
Yeah, I'd love to know. I mean, somebody who's out there has to crunch the numbers so we can see what it looks like. Are there any countries or anybody else trying this little concept?
Yeah, good question.
Or small cities or something?
You know, the reason I didn't look into that is because the stories I hear is they have things in other countries that we don't have in America and we should have in America. And
we're the most taxed country in the world.
yeah, but for some reason we don't look at those other countries and see where they're succeeding and where we're failing. And we don't really look at other countries, I don't think, in a way where we think, what are they doing that would be beneficial to us?
Nothing.
And what are they doing in their country that's beneficial to their people that we could be doing in our country that would be beneficial?
Well, the UAE, they cut your hands off if you get caught stealing.
Hey, that's a good thing.
They don't have any theft.
You ever? Yeah,
Singapore,
that's a
don't
good
they
thing.
whip you if you steal a car or something?
They kill you for weed too over there.
Well, that's bad. That's bad.
But no, I'm just
real
being
bad.
facetious. I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just know that America. I mean, freaking El Salvador's President, he always hammers America how much we tax businesses, how much we tax the people. It's because we can print as much money as we want. So why tax everybody? If the government needs money, then just print the money.
Yeah, just print it.
Just print it.
Yeah,
There's no reason to be taxing people, but they tax us and they print it. It's like,
yeah.
Rich,
There's
have you
plenty of
asked?
reasons that don't work, but go ahead.
Rich, have you asked? I know. When did you actually start? About a month ago? Start the campaign? I can't remember when you called me.
About 6 weeks.
Okay, when you called me.
oh, it's fresh.
And have you talked to anybody out there in Arizona, or what kind of feedback are you getting about this idea?
There's a contingency that is very anti-rich. Thanks, Tim.
Tim who?
He knows.
Okay.
Tim knows.
All right.
But
Make sure you subscribe, okay, Tim?
yeah,
YouTube.
I have the benefit of having raised my grandson for a little while, and he played junior high school football, and so I actually know a few kids in the community. These are millennials, and I ran into one yesterday, and it dawned on me, oh my God, all these kids used to run. These kids can vote now. These kids love me. I was Zachary's papa. You know, these kids all know me. So that's one of the things I'm really going to look into, is really targeting that group more. In fact, I'll go have a chat with that young man when I
And
get
if you
back
can
to
get them to
Arizona.
vote, too. You got to vote.
Yeah,
'Cause he's
that's-
millennial.
Yeah, that's just, yeah, you got to
Yeah,
vote.
we don't do nothing.
Yeah. If you're 18 or you're going to be 18 by the 5th of November, register. Do it now.
I feel like Gen Z does more than millennials at this point. I mean, the millennials are like nowhere to be freaking found, man. I mean, like nowhere. I mean, there's a couple of us around the state, like Ben Luna does good, but I mean, it's like that's it. It's like,
We're severely lacking.
severely. Get a grip, guys. I'm pretty upset about that. It sucks that I'm the youngest guy in the room often. I was just at the Lincoln Reagan dinner the other night. It's an annual Republican dinner that we do, and I was the youngest guy in that room, and it just pisses me off. It's like, come on, man. You know, like there should be more of us. That's not that hard, dude. You go to work, you get off work, go to a couple of meetings, bro. It's not that freaking hard. And it goes a long way. One voice goes a long way. Me and Alice can attest to that personally. It's like, I mean, and if you're one voice and you actually get more engaged, man, you can start getting candidates to win and stuff. But yeah, the millennials are hard to reach. I feel like Gen Z is a little more in tune than millennials are at this point. I think the millennials are just hopped up on all kinds of drugs, is what it is. They just do tons of drugs.
Is that the problem?
Joey agrees. They're super high. They're on Oxycontins. They're on Xanax. They're on.
And Joey's millennial, too? Are you a millennial?
Yeah, we're millennials. That's why he's agreeing with me. He's like, yep.
So I always have to kind of say, okay, I know the age group there.
America's just a toxic country in general. It's not even a millennial thing, really. It's like, you know. Go ahead.
I just say generational thing is same things we complain about you. My parents complained about me.
Right? Yeah,
blah,
the
blah, blah,
stupid
you know.
music.
It's the squeaky wheel syndrome, right? It gets the grease, so the people that are whining and crying, they're getting all the airplay.
No.
But now I have hope. I do. I know kids at work. I know kids at work every day.
You know what? I'll say this. I went to a big political rally in Arizona when I announced my candidacy for lieutenant governor, and the millennials were there. They were there. Like, I was like, who the hell are you guys? And they were super cool and down to earth, and they knew all the topics, and they were surprised to see me. Like, who the hell are you? But that was the only place I've ever been where there was like a big presence of millennials there that were.
Well, and I can validate what you're saying because I was very active in Republican politics there, and our group, we had a lot of retired people because retired people have more time. It's logical.
And money.
We did have a nice mix. We had a lot of parents that would come, millennials, and even much younger people.
That's what I'm
now
saying.
we have ASU there, and we have a university here though too. And so I think you are right.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about this. So the fact that you're really going to push the social media aspect of all this, that kind of makes you, grandpa who knows social media. I mean, really, because we're kind of known, our generation, we do. We're on social media. Rich and I are doing all that, but not all of our age group is that into it. They still want to have landlines. I have a landline too, but that might be to your advantage. Are you going to be on all these different platforms, or what is your focus going to be about that?
When I get back to Arizona, I'll set up a X account and Instagram, and those would be my three main focus. Unless somebody could come up with another social media platform they think I should be on.
There's your consultant right there that would tell you.
Yeah, I mean, X is good. Definitely do X. I mean, I 100% go all in with X. I wouldn't even waste time on the other ones. On anything meta for politics, pointless. Instagram, Facebook, even if you pay for ads, like most politicians aren't even buying ads anymore because all they do is that they divert them. You'll pay for ads in Las Cruces or Doñana, they'll freaking send them to New York, dude. And it happens. So most politicians these days aren't even buying ads on Facebook anymore because it's just meta's so corrupt. It's freaking Zuckerberg and Google. But X is good. X is really good for politics. You might actually win on X, bro. Seriously, that's how powerful.
That'll work.
That's how powerful X is, man. Seriously, if you catch some momentum on X, bro, you could probably do pretty good.
Yeah, and once I win, I'll do my two, get the tax thing rolling, and I'm out. I don't want to be a career politician.
And I'm glad you said that. That leads me into another question. So, and we had a congressman, and he actually did do this in Arizona. He said, I'm only going to run for so many terms, and that's it. And that was the idea of our founders. You're not supposed to make a career out of it, and that's. How many terms would you serve?
Yeah. And something I haven't brought up, and it is actually the key and the whole reason that I started to house this plan, was I look at how angry people are at one another. And to me, our tax system is the root of that.
I agree
I worked. I got that W-2 in January and went,
So I know for businesses, for a distribution, for a corporate distribution, it's 33%. Is the same thing for personal income tax? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because I've only been doing business. I've been doing my own stuff for 12 years. I haven't had but that's 33%. Imagine what you do for 33% extra money. That's robbery, bro.
Yeah, it is.
That's why I don't agree with taxes.
And it's so complicated.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So much of my life in the beginning, it was just simple. You could do your own. Remember, we actually had a piece of paper. You'd fill out a piece of paper and you do your taxes. But then you start owning property or have a few little investments and things, and the government has you freaked out. Like you don't want to screw up and you don't want to do something wrong, so they can come back and come after you. I like the simplicity of your plan.
Remember one of our first episodes, we talked about this. It was Trump's initial tax plan. And a lot of people don't know about this. You can Google it, check it out. Freaking one-pager. If you made under $70,000 a year, you pay zero tax. And literally on the form that he provided, it's like he basically said, screw the government. Like, if you make under $70,000, you pay zero tax, and it was a one-page document that you fill out. And it's just generally, it doesn't matter if you make under $70,000 or more. It's one page. So basically, yeah. I'll post that later because it's really cool to see that document, and I think that's what helped Trump win the first time around. Because when you just talk about simple taxes or less taxes, people love that. I know I do.
Yeah, you're going to reel them in with it, right?
Yeah.
So Trump's polling big out there. How are you going to appeal to the Trump voters, man?
Oh man.
I mean, they're winning. That's not a good response.
To be clear, I'm not a Biden guy either. Okay, we've made this
that's
clear.
how
I'm
you
not
get the vote.
Democrat.
That's how you get
I'm not
the Trump vote.
Republican. I'm an independent. Okay, I've got issues with Joe, but I really would like to refrain from conversations about both of them
And I have
because
to ask,
it's a deal breaker for so many people.
No, it's not. It's more. You're going to get more for going pro-Trump right now. Because, like, for me, because we are Republicans, We have to appeal to the independents. So we're always trying to figure out what we can do to appeal to independents.
Okay. Was this a poll you saw this morning?
Oh, man, yeah, he's winning every
Okay, that
state.
must be it, because the last one I saw, they had Biden up by 4. So, you know.
Where did you see
How does that
poll?
make
Yeah,
any
they're
sense?
always neck and neck. Don't buy the polls, man. That's nonsense.
Well, how does that make any sense if he has 50% of the Hispanic vote now?
I've often asked myself, how does any of this make any sense?
But even so we have to ask you: do you have a candidate in the race right now? Because I mean, it is election year, and
For
you are running for
independents?
Congress. We've got RFK is running also, and there's probably a libertarian that I don't know who that is. You guys know who that is? Haley or Joey? No. Do you have you selected a candidate for president?
You know, I haven't. I really haven't.
Just have to ask.
I need to do a little more looking into the other people that are
If you
running.
had to vote today, was election day. And if you
I
don't
don't-
answer, that's okay.
No, I will answer it. I'd sit it out. I haven't educated myself enough on the other candidates.
And you're running for Congress?
I know. Well, we're new at this.
Well, you're honest, Rich.
Is that my Aleppo
I'll
moment?
give you that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was that my Aleppo moment?
Yeah.
Huh?
I said you're honest. I'll give you that.
Yeah, well,
You didn't try to say, well, you know, I.
Yeah, see, I already know my reason for why I don't want to vote for the front runners. So I need to look at what the other guys are offering.
I love RFK. I absolutely love that guy. I don't even care about the whole abortion thing. He said, I don't even care. He's just placating his donors. It's
Well,
fine.
and I would say, I think maybe we both have said this. If it only were between Biden and RFK, I would vote for RFK.
Oh, all day RFK.
If those were my only two options.
All day
fine.
RFK, yeah.
You know?
I identify more with libertarians. Like I voted for Ron Paul. Big support. Still support the Pauls. Love the Paul. There's probably only stand-up guys left in Congress besides a couple other ones. Yeah, I never imagined myself being a Republican voting for Trump in 2024, you know, not too long ago. But as I got into politics and learned more about how things work, it's like, you know, it's pretty much common sense to me now. But I can understand how people, you know, need to do more research and see things from their own eyes and kind of add things up. That's pretty much how it all works. It's hard to convince people raw, you know, you got to kind of with their own conclusion.
Oh, I've had difficulty explaining this, you know, my tax plan, most notably to Dee Dee.
Dee Dee's who?
My significant other.
Okay.
It took her a little bit. She's an intelligent woman. Okay.
What was her party? What is her party?
She voted for Trump.
Oh, great. I love her.
Yeah, she voted twice.
Love her even more.
Can I do a really secret
Shout out to
show?
Dee Dee.
Now we have about 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, and I understand that the plan is confusing to people, but it's
not that bad.
It's well,
It's different.
Dee Dee was an intelligent woman, and it took me a couple times to explain it to her to where it began to click. So I understand that that's a bit of an uphill battle, but
I like it.
once you look at it and begin to understand it,
I think it's a cool plan.
then
Makes
it's
sense
like,
to me.
yeah,
You know?
this should work.
And I'm telling you, the one thing you're going to have a trouble with is just putting on more tax in general because we're already overtaxed. You might want to qualify it by reducing other taxes first and then kind of smuggling that in later. I mean,
Pay attention. I'm going to reduce lowest income tax bracket.
By how much?
80%.
but you see the discrepancy there? How are you going to lower 8% but only tax 7%?
Okay. If you lower it 80%, okay, that actually comes out to 8 cents. Okay. It takes some. It's a percentage thing. I need charts and graphs to explain it a little bit better. 80% would bring the lowest earners from 10 and 12 down to 2 and 4.
Okay.
So they're now paying 2% and 4%. Okay. 7% at the point of sale will bring the 2% person back up to 9, and the 4% person back up to 11. So they're actually paying a little bit less than they were.
And like I said, I like the idea of figuring out a way to yank some money out of those who aren't contributing. I like that a lot. I think that's awesome. So
I agree with that. Well, you know, you have a YouTube channel, so you could get your charts and graphs and get up there or on Facebook or whatever and explain it in basic terms. Because people are very visual.
Well,
there's a lot of independent love in this city. So
I don't know how good my
You know?
YouTube channel will do. I have like 8 music videos on there, and I think I've got
Oh,
a
cool.
total of 170 views.
And we didn't really, I don't know, maybe you did, maybe we talked about this, but you know, Rich is rock and roll dude, singer. and maybe just write a song about it, and you could explain it that way.
All right, steal somebody's.
You can do
Good people wrote some really good stuff.
All right, we're getting down to our last few minutes. Why don't you give a little 1 minute? We always like to give the candidate a closer, you know.
Yeah.
I'm your guy, and this is why you really need to vote for me.
Okay. I'm your guy. You really need to vote for me because my main reason for getting into this in the first place was the division in our country. This has got to stop. The root cause of that division is the tax system. We have less than half the population supporting the government. That's wrong. That is just flat out wrong. So we need to heal that divide. We need something that is fair and equitable. And a sales tax at the point of sale is fair and equitable. And that's it. Yeah, vote for me. Oh yeah, $13.5 million from foreigners with my plan. So
A billion? Did you mean billion or million?
billion. Did I say
I
million?
thought I heard million. So
I
billion.
thought I said billion, but 13.5 billion from foreign tourists paying to the government, helping fund all those programs you're angry about your tax money going towards.
And one quick question.
Okay.
Have you floated this idea to any politicians, candidates, or people you might support?
I have not, and the reason I do that is because I have my own conspiracy theory, paranoia type things going on. And in that, in this instant, it would be they'd go, yeah, I'll get right on that, buddy. Thanks, man.
Okay.
And
Just wonder.
yeah,
Well, I appreciate you coming in, and like I said, this is a different interview, but it's part of our candidate conversation. You know, when you're back in New Mexico, maybe you can be on the Chips and Salsa Show Arizona. Call up George and do that because he's actually a candidate in Arizona. So just to remind you again, this is Richard Ester. I call him Rich because I've known him forever, but you're going to go by Richard.
we go way back. She knew me when I was homeless.
In a van, but you weren't down by the river. You're still.
He was down by the river.
You
Where
kind of
was I?
were. That's
Remember
right. You were.
that whole little story down by the river.
You were down in a van down by the river. Yeah. When you came to our house, we weren't quite down by the river. We were closer to Utah, but we were relatively close. And he's running for U.S. Representative for Congress in Arizona, and that's going to be District Number 2. So that's information for you. Anything else you'd like to?
I'm on Facebook. I'll start doing whatever it is you need to do to promote your X and Instagram channels. So.
Yeah, so anybody out there independent listening to us, you know, you got a platform here. We'd love to have you on. I think it's very interesting to have. Thank you for coming on. You know, I know
Thanks for asking.
we don't see eye to eye on a couple things, but at the end of the day, I'm just glad to hear you out and to exchange ideas with you, man, because I think that's what this country's all about, having professional discussion and finding solutions to problems.
We definitely need more of it.
Right.
Definitely need more.
I think it's well said, and the more people run, people are so afraid to run, they don't want to do it. Run. If you have a desire, do it.
Yeah.
Have a little burning desire. That helps, okay? Because it's a lot of work.
Now, don't primary a good candidate now. Jeez.
And
He's not doing that.
No money. He's going to do it without money.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I don't want your money. I want your vote.
It takes balls to run, so I respect the hell out of him for just running. Just
And
running.
we both, I've run, you've run.
Yeah, it's not easy. So if you got the balls to do it, hey, man, salute you for that. That's huge.
You want to close this out with a quick prayer like you always
Yes,
do?
sure. Lord, thank you so much for bringing us here together, bringing this gentleman Rich here to share his ideas and his plan for this country as he runs for Congress. And I just pray that you continue to bless us through these troubling times, and that you can give us the energy to bring us together so we can save our community and save our state and save our country. And again, we're so grateful for all the blessings, Lord. Thank you so much. Amen.
Amen. Way to go, Zeke. And next week, we want to let you know we do have Juan Garcia will be our guest, and he's been here before. He is the chairman of the CCIA, the Coalition of Conservatives in Action here locally, and he's going to bring us up to date on all things like
Everything.
increases.
Yeah.
We talk about it.
We're going to try to get Peter Goodman on, too.
Oh, did you put it
I'm going to ask him today. We'll see. Hopefully he comes on. He invited me on his show, which I appreciate that, Mr. Goodman. And we hope we can get you on here with Juan as well, because I think that'd be a good mix. But if not, hopefully we'll get him on eventually.
That would be interesting.
It would be
for
interesting.
him to be on here. That's absolutely true. And then we've got also for July, Julie Reese is scheduled to.
Oh, great.
And we've got at the end of the month, Kim Skaggs is going to be.
Oh,
on
Kim,
with us.
cool. You got
And
Kim, huh?
We've
Awesome.
got some, Yvette Harrell's still waiting to hear back from her people, but they're looking at July as well. So
Okay,
we're just
cool.
rocking and rolling. And again, like you said earlier, we have an open invitation for candidate conversations.
Yeah, candidates, come on in, come on down. Anybody really, if you guys got something to say, we're opening it up to you. You just can't suck. But even if you do, it's all good.
That's okay. We'll still love you. We'll still love you. And
Yeah.
thank you very much, Chipsters. And please spread this video.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks.
Alice Lotta here with.
Zeke Rodriguez.
Richard Ester.
And Mr. Richard Ester.
Have a good one.